Hey, what's happening YouTube? What's happening Facebook, IG, TikTok, wherever you may see this? I probably should have made this a video, but I gotta build this live up. So I'm going live, y'all. It's PAC Reacts, back with another one. And this time I'm reacting to a piece of journalism that I got turned on to by Melanie King, one of my favorite independent journalists. Y'all make sure y'all go check her out. Like, share, subscribe. She's the best. Thank me later. And it's by a young lady by the name of Ashley Hayes. Now, I have been speaking on this topic for quite some time, but my platform is not what hers is. So I'm going to let Miss Hayes reiterate in this video on some of the things that I have spoke on in the past. Feast your ears on this and tell me what you think.
What if I told you that the very foundation of America wasn't about liberty or freedom at all, but instead a carefully laid blueprint intended specifically to summon the Antichrist and usher in a Babylonian golden age? Look no further than the Great Seal on your dollar bill, the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, Novus Ordo Seclorum. It's all been there in plain sight for over 200 years, waiting for the time we are living in right now. For centuries, they've hidden it right under our noses. The plan to usher in an enlightened new world, a spiritual golden age, under an incarnated demonic spirit, an ancient pagan god. And the plan didn't start recently. It's an ancient satanic agenda from before the flood, kept alive through the years and finally set into motion with America's Luciferian founding fathers masquerading as angels of light, operating under "In God We Trust," operating under the guise of Christian men founding a Christian country. The worship of Osiris, otherwise known as Nimrod, otherwise known as Apollo, didn't die out in the sands of Egypt or the ruins of Babylon.
Why is that significant, what she just said? Is because I've been saying for a long time that America was Babylon. What did I mean by that? I said they just changed the face of it. They just changed the name of it. Freemasonry, Illuminati, all of that stuff is all tied in, right? And each civilization has their own version of it. I've referred to Babylon, I've referred to Egypt, I've referred to Greece and Rome and America. Now, Nimrod, Babylon, Apollo, Greece, Osiris, Egypt. I mean, come on, man.
It went underground.
Or was Nimrod wrong? I need to, I'll be getting him confused with a couple of them other devils.
It was hidden, passed down through secret societies who kept it alive for a time like right now. Most people are aware that secret societies exist, but they fail to realize the depth of impact that they have on our country and our world. The symbols, the rituals, the oaths of modern secret societies, such as Freemasons, trace straight back to ancient times. It's just a mask for an occult lineage that has been steering world events for thousands of years, waiting for the moment that they can crown their final king, their master and god, Apollo, Nimrod, the resurrected Osiris. Freemasonry, in essentially Cliff Notes form, is a secret society that's roots go back to Egyptian and Babylonian pagan god worship because, well, like the Bible tells us, there's nothing new under the sun. This occultism, this rebellion to God, just changes form through the years. Freemasonry is not a Christian good old boys club that does charity work for the community as they want you to believe. It is a gateway to the occult, a stepping stone to sorcery and witchcraft that leads to Satanism.
Let me read this real quick because I went in on Albert Pike some time ago, right? That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. To you, sovereign grand inspectors general, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be I can't see that word. It ends with a Y. Of us should be all of us initiates of the high degrees, something maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. Okay, I see. The Masonic religion should be by all of us initiates of the high degrees maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. Wow. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, Jesus, calumniate, spread false and harmful statements about him? What? What? Calumniate. What's that what he called him? Calumniate. I need to learn that word. First time I've ever seen it. But yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. We're screenshot that. Here. Okay.
Manly P. Hall, a well-known Freemason and author, says, man is a god in the making. And as he unfolds in the degrees of the lodge, he learns the mysteries, here it is, of his own divinity. Freemasonry claims to be open to all faiths, but at the highest degrees, they openly admit that they worship Lucifer. Now, during the Crusades of the 11th century, the Western Knights that were sent by the Catholic Church were exposed to many forbidden doctrines that challenged their belief, especially the one about Satan.
That's not the first time I've heard that they openly admit in the higher degrees who they're serving. I heard that first from a former 33rd degree Mason who's an evangelist now, the guy with the long beard that I was constantly sharing his videos a while back. I think I did a reaction to one of his before, but I'm gonna do another one because there's a lot more to be covered.
Tempting Eve in the garden. These new beliefs revered Lucifer as the light bearer or the true liberator. They were told that Satan was the one that was actually trying to help and educate mankind. And in doing so, they labeled Yahweh as the oppressive enemy because he was a tyrannical leader keeping Yahweh. Adam and Eve enslaved. These new beliefs stated mankind was being hidden from knowledge that would liberate them, allow them to see the gods within, allow them to ascend to their true self. At the center of these beliefs was the worship of Lucifer, as he was their true liberator.
Now, when I talk to Black people in my community about who God is and ask them, those who believe that we are gods and that God body stuff, that I've had conversations with, they can never provide any doctrines, right? But what I will tell them is, do you know where that ideology was first introduced to people? Right? They'll say the Bible. Doesn't it say that we'll be gods and this and this and that? And I say, well, look, it says that ye shall be like gods. But if you're going to use the Bible as a point of for context, or I mean, as a reference, then you got to actually believe the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So do you just pick and choose what parts of it you believe, right? And I condemn the stuff that I do that's ungodly like this. Man, I've been struggling with this thing like a mug, but I'm not going to never sit up here and say ain't nothing wrong with it, right, while claiming to profess a belief in the Bible. Like, come on, man, stop.
The true God. This is known as the Luciferian doctrine, and it is an ancient Babylonian religion that is essentially the core, the foundation for every New Age belief, every secret society, Gnosticism, and even transhumanism. Returning from the Crusades and wanting to explore these new enlightened beliefs further, the Knights knew they had to do this in secrecy for fear of persecution. So what did they do? They retreated to hidden circles, secret meetings. And what emerged from those gatherings? The seeds of secret societies that we know today: Rosicrucians, Freemasonry, Jesuits, the Knights Templar. Freemasons go through oaths and rituals in order to advance in this club. And so for those out there who have a mild viewpoint of this society, because maybe a family member is a part of it and, you know, they're a nice person or a good person, Let's look at what actually happens just at the first degree.
Just a good old boys club. No, there's a lot more going on than ECI. Most people don't know about what goes on because by nature it's a what? Secret society.
Mm-hmm.
You and I don't just walk in there and observe. It's not an open policy. But the other thing that I want to dispel is they say, well, okay, granted, when they get to the higher levels of Freemasonry, that's when they find out that they're really worshiping Lucifer, or in the Shriners' case, that they have to pledge their allegiance to Allah and Muhammad as a prophet. No joke. Yeah. But my loved one, your proverbial Uncle Joe, he only did the first 3 degrees, and he doesn't know anything's wrong because they haven't told him yet what it's really all about, and he's okay. No, he's not. Let me just describe to you the first degree, the intro to principle. This is what you got to do when you enter into Freemasonry, and you tell me if you're a professing born again Christian, and all Christian, if you're truly born again, you are indwelt with the Holy Spirit of God. You mean to tell me just in that first degree, when you go through what I'm about to describe to you, at some point, you wouldn't have any conviction to run? You go in there, first of all, you don't just walk in there. Somebody typically taps you on the shoulder or invites you, hey, you seem like I've been watching you, you seem like night. And this could happen in church services.
In church. It's crazy because the people who I talk to, they can't tell me too much about it, people who I know. But what they will say is that, no, none of that's true. It's a benevolent Christian organization. Under the guise of Christianity, huh?
By the way, in church.
And they invite you to come and then to their, quote, secret meeting. Well, stop right there. What did Jesus say? Matthew 10. What I tell you what? Declare from the rooftops. Right? You don't hide the light of Christ under a bushel. You declare it to everybody for the whole world to see. The first thing they're going to do if you go through this process is they're going to blindfold you. And actually it's called they hoodwink you.
And one of the things that was pointed out a long time ago when I first started learning about the boule, right, was that in Masonry, they use the blindfold, the woman with the blindfold, or the blindfold in general, to represent the fact that you're going in blind, completely off of trust, that you don't know, right? So I don't know how much that makes sense, but yeah.
Freemason term. We say hoodwink all the time. They don't realize it's a Freemason term. They put the hoodwink on you, the blindfold.
Well, I know how much it makes
and
sense.
What that does is it's supposed to symbolize that you admit that your whole prior life has been in darkness, and that through the light of the teachings of Freemasonry that you're brought into light, from darkness to light.
Yeah.
Well, wait a second. If I'm supposed to be a Christian, I thought.
Okay, so he just added some clarity to that for me. So that's what it represents. So maybe the brother who I heard it from before was wrong. He was mistaken, right? But that's why we go in depth on these subjects, right? And I got books too. So, yeah, we're not just going to rely on no one source. I heard it first from the Mason, or in his video, the first guy who I was talking about. So it's layers of proof.
Yeah, we got that in the Bible, didn't we?
I got it from Jesus Christ, and that he is the light of the world. So I would basically have to admit my whole life, including as a professing Christian, has been darkness. And again, you're supposed to be indwelt with the Holy Spirit. There's no conviction. Yep. Oh, you're not even done yet. Then you got to take a shirt off. And then you got to kneel before who's called the worshipful master. Excuse me, I don't kneel before anybody other than Jesus Christ. In fact, everybody's going to be kneeling Philippians 2 before Jesus Christ, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords one day. So, excuse me, I'm going to kneel before a man called the worshipful master. Jesus is not just my Savior. He's my Lord. Lord is kurios in the Greek. It means master. I have one.
Lord is kurios in Greek. Remember, the gospel, aka the New Testament, was first written by Israelites in Greece.
Master is a Christian, Jesus Christ. Then they take a sword and they'll...
Or during the Greek captivity, they were speaking Greek.
Put it to your chest, and you have to take not just an oath, is called, on purpose, the bloody oath. Why is it called the bloody oath? Because you pledge not only your allegiance to Freemasonry, stop right there. My only allegiance is to Jesus Christ. Yep. So you pledge yourself to something else other than Jesus Christ. And then you say with your mouth that if I ever divulge what goes on in these secret meetings or behind doors with Freemasonry and their secrets, I pledge with the sword at my chest, the bloody oath, that you can rip out my tongue, cut me from ear to ear with a thumb, go like this, right? And have my bowels ripped open. And you're pledging that. And I'm going, and you're supposed to be a Christian? Mondo, that's just the first degree. And they do the bloody oaths through all three and the other ritualistic behavior. So I don't buy this baloney that, he just went through the first 3 degrees and didn't know what it was. It's not until later to find out. How do you make it past not just the first one, even the first step of the first one?
Now, propped up as good men, as devout, Bible-believing patriots founding a Christian nation, were our founding fathers, until you realize that most of them were ritual Freemasons. And for the few that weren't, such as Thomas Jefferson, well, we'll get to him in a second. Just some of the Freemasons include George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, John Hancock, Paul Revere, Joseph Warren, Benedict Arnold. In addition, at least 13 signers of the Constitution were Masons. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated President Lincoln, was also a Freemason. Makes you wonder what actually happened. Now, even though Thomas Jefferson wasn't an actual Mason, let's take a deeper look into his beliefs. Jefferson actually printed his own Bible after literally taking a knife to the Word of God and removing what he didn't like. He removed not only...
That's kind of what everybody do figuratively, ain't it? Remove what they don't like. Look, extracted textually from the Gospels together with the comparison of his doctrine with those of others. The life and morals of Jesus of Nazareth. Wow. Lies, lies, lies. Lies, 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 lies. And the dude asked me the other day, who was contradicting the Bible, well, why so many versions then? Why so many versions? Why are you worried about the wrong versions? Just read the correct one. But to really answer your question, because everybody wants to control the truth. If it was a lie and it wasn't true, it would have been written off a long time ago by the elite, by the people who run the world. But they all want to have their own version of it so they can control the narrative. Everybody wants to be in charge of the truth, especially when it's a truth about God and his people and who his people are. That part. Sorry about that, you guys.
All the miracles that Jesus performed, but also the resurrection.
I had to share that.
He even removed the book of Revelation.
I had to do some sharing and share this. I kind of got lost for a minute, smoking on some of this good, what's this one called? San Diego OG.
He believed Jesus was just a moral teacher.
I just finished that.
He denied fully his deity. Jefferson also denied the virgin birth and the Trinity. Thomas Jefferson, although he wasn't a Freemason, he was not a Christian man. Now let's take a look at Benjamin Franklin, who was a Freemason. Now, not only was he a Freemason, he was also a part of the majority of the secret societies during his time, one of which was called the Hellfire Club, where they actually joked that the devil was the president. This club was a well-known underground ritual murder and sex cult that were involved in abductions, dismemberment, and even cannibalism.
Same stuff they was doing in Babylon. What most of their holidays surround are really about. Remember,
we got that reggaeton. Today we're gonna be making beats you guys send me, okay? So
even more revealing was that during restorations of his home in the 90s, More than 1,200 bones were uncovered in a secret, windowless room in the basement. The bones were, of course, confirmed to be dated from around the time that he lived there. Of course, the official narrative that they tell us is that it was just for science. The bones include...
Y'all remember Django, where they were showing how they do all these experiments on the brains of their slaves? When was this going on? In London, for much of the time between, he lived in London for much of the time between 1757 and 1775. Benjamin Franklin lived in London. Oh, is that what he was doing there or what he was doing here? They had slaves there too, right? But something tells me, an educated guess, hypothesis, that those were the bones of so-called African Americans. Call me crazy. I haven't confirmed that, but hey, that's how I feel.
Included surgical marks and drill holes in skulls, which were just clear signs of medical study, they say.
I've been hearing about them drilling holes in our skulls for a long time.
Alongside the human bones were even found remains of animal species. Oh, but that just indicates comparative anatomy experiments. It's just science, guys. I'm sure that it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that he was a part of satanic cults, societies that literally pledged their loyalty to Lucifer. I'm sure that it's just a coincidence and it was just for science. Right. George Washington, unfortunately, as well, was a satanic Mason. Now, if you walk into the Capitol building and look up, you will see what is called the Apotheosis of Washington, a mural depicting George Washington rising to the heavens amongst all the pagan gods, appearing godlike himself. This is the deification of George Washington. That's what apotheosis actually means, when a mortal is elevated to the status of a god. Now, surrounding him and all the pagan gods are 72 satanic pentagrams. Take notice also of the intentional hand positions, reminiscent of Baphomet. The same position takes place again in multiple statues and depictions of him. I don't think that's a coincidence. The Founding Fathers' vision for America wasn't a nation of political freedom. It was an establishment that continued ancient occultism, ancient pagan god worship, one that would usher in a new world that aligned with their enlightened Luciferian beliefs, ultimately giving rise to their final king, their god, Nimrod, Apollo, the resurrected Osiris. This vision also ties directly into Francis Bacon's 1626 novel titled New Atlantis, which envisions society being governed not by kings, but by a secret hidden priesthood, guiding the masses towards a secret spiritual destiny. This utopia was planned for America, and not coincidentally, Francis Bacon also helped orchestrate the 13 colonies. Well-known Scottish Rite Freemason Manly P. Hall, whose writings include Atlantis, the Gods of Antiquity and the Myth of the Dying God, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and The Secret Destiny of America, claimed that the rise of the Western world was no accident of history, but the deliberate fruition of an ancient blueprint. America was destined to emerge as the new Atlantis, engineered specifically through a dark esoteric design, an enlightened golden age, where the old gods would once again walk among men. This new order of the ages, or Novus Ordo Seclorum, has been in process for centuries, a dark, silent movement, an invisible order, quietly being pulled towards its culmination. Each event on the world stage is a sacrifice, a gradual step towards the emergence of the new world through
Each event on the world stage is a sacrifice? All deities require sacrifice, even pagan ones, because it's all a perversion of the scriptures. You see, they refer to the scriptures, and you see that they pervert them. Because their gods are fallen angels, at the core of it, they were once in heaven. So they know what goes on with the Most High. They know the scriptures too. So if they want to imitate God, then they require sacrifices. But the crazy part about it is they require actual sacrifices too.
Intentional and deliberate chaos. Ordo ab chao, or order out of chaos, is the motto of 33-degree Masons. And it is essentially problem, reaction, solution. It is justifying any means necessary to usher in their ancient agenda. And we see evidence of this agenda not only in the layout of Washington, D.C., but also established in the very fabric of our society, our country's seal, on our dollar bill. It's all hidden in plain sight, right under our noses. It was the same Manly P. Hall.
What's up, Margella? What's up, Tornero?
That famously said, when the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of man, otherwise known as know the schemes of the enemy, know the tactics of the enemy, see this world with spiritual eyes. Now, they tell us that all of these buildings were constructed. So before we even get into this, I want to mention it is my personal opinion that a lot of them were found. We know the ancient world was rich in architecture. We know that there was technology that they are lying to us about. They want us to believe that the entire world was full of this beautiful architecture except America, that America was desolate when they found it. So it is my opinion that a lot of these buildings were found and renovated, and the rest were constructed, but a lot of them were found. Now, that being said, Thomas Jefferson, along with some others, intentionally designed the capital city to honor the ancient pagan and Egyptian gods, the old pantheon of gods. He wanted to see the ancient temples be brought to life. And you can find this online at the Library of Congress. It's actually called the Most Approved Plan. It states, and I quote, the
most approved plan. Wow.
Roman pantheon, the circular domed rotunda dedicated, here it is, to all pagan gods, was suggested by Jefferson, who later shepherded it through several transformations, which just tells me that they renovated it, but clearly stating that our capital was dedicated to pagan gods, the fallen. The founding fathers were not here to establish a free country honoring God Almighty. They were here to bring the pagan temples back to life. That's why the city feels and looks like ancient Rome. That's why the architecture is reminiscent of ancient temples. Now, again, going back to the founding fathers' design of the city, when you look at Washington, D.C. from above, the layout of the city forms a pentagram, a demonically charged circuit board.
We've all seen that before. Most of us have. People have showed us that and drawn that out to us, right? But we still entertain the things that the government say. Doesn't that show y'all how powerful the indoctrination is? The television programming, the propaganda. Wow. We see this stuff. They show us the symbols on the money. People explain that to us, and people still love money. And people still talk about being American and the law and justice and Democrat and Republican and all of this stuff, as if this is just, they just sweep it under the rug.
If you will. Even looking from the Washington National Monument to the Capitol building, you can see it forms a...
The Masonic pyramid has 13 layers and a perimeter of 6.66 kilometers. What is those layers? Blocks in between it? Where those lines, is that each one of them a block? Wow. I got to look around this little doggone speaker. I got it sitting next to my screen. Wow. Then there's another one on the right-hand side. Oh, that's the top of it. They just showing it closer, zooming in on the right. The one on the left is showing all of the blocks south of it. But at the top of that yellow arrow is what you see in the screen on the right. The two images on the right, top and bottom. And then the one in the middle is the same one without the yellow lines. Okay.
Pyramid with an occult owl, which of course is in tribute to the god Moloch or Baal. It also has ties to the goddess Athena in Greek mythology, or Minerva in Roman form, otherwise known as Lilith. She was the god of wisdom and warfare, and she was often seen with an owl, but it is more commonly associated with the god of child sacrifice, Moloch.
Yeah, hey, look at that. What's on the side of it? Planned Parenthood. I told y'all a long time ago that Margaret Sanger was into eugenics program. It was all about genocide. It was all about getting rid of so-called unwanted babies. Right? How do you know that without them saying it? Even though she said it, and Black women still was going and deleting their children. But how do you know that? Because you only see them in our community. You only see them in our community. And where else have you seen that image of that owl? If you remember those DVDs that was going around 2008, 2009, those hip hop Illuminati DVDs, that whole little series, they've been showed that the presidents go and meet here in the Bohemian Grove yearly. They even show how Richard Nixon spoke out against it. There was a whole video when a journalist was trying to get inside of there, and those aggressive security, I don't know if they were Secret Service, FBI, CIA, whoever they were stopping them from going in Bohemian Grove. Was like, turn it around. No, they stopped the car. They was like, get the fuck up out of here, right? And dude ended up going around the long way and videotaping their meeting from across the river. On the other side of the river, there's a river right behind, I guess, where this camera person is, unless this is one of his images where he zoomed in from across the river, right? But yeah, he was out there videotaping them having this little meeting, right? Richard Nixon said he'll never go back there again. His words were, it was the most faggoty goddamn shit he'd ever seen in his life. And then he won't even shake anybody's hand from San Francisco after attending that.
This is also why at Bohemian Grove, we see a giant statue of an owl, and at the base is where they, meaning, our government leaders and the elite, lovely people, gather and make sacrifices. The Egyptian name for the owl was Mulak.
Never, ever sue the driver who crashed into you after a car accident. There's a better way to get compensated that's faster, easier.
Now, I even
So in the Kemetic language, the word owl was called Molech. That was the word for the animal.
This up on my own phone to show you that anybody can. These aren't AI generated images. It is very clearly visible. This is intentional. It's by design by our, quote, Christian Bible believing patriotic founding.
The Egyptian name for the owl, Mulak or Moloch, represented by the letter symbolism of M, because its name began with M. And the eyes or horns of this secret deity looks just like the letter M. Okay.
Fathers. Now, towering over the heart of America's capital is the Washington Monument, standing at 555 feet tall, or you guessed it, 6,660 inches tall, as well as 666 inches wide, is the world's tallest freestanding obelisk. It is intentionally designed to resemble ancient Egypt's sacred pillars. Now, in the occult, these stone obelisks represent the male erect member of Osiris, the resurrected sun god. When Osiris was killed by his brother Set, he was chopped into 14 pieces and thrown into the Nile. Isis, who is his sister wife, found 13 pieces, all but one. And in an attempt to revive him, to bring him back to life, she fashioned an artificial, erect 14th piece and through ritual magic conceived Horus. So that one piece is now forever commemorated in upright stone as a testament to their resurrected god, Osiris. It is also strategically placed in front of the Capitol dome, which represents the womb of Isis. More than half the obelisks from ancient Egypt have been moved and now reside strategically in cities like Rome and London.
Would you look at that? Doesn't that look eerily similar to DC?
These obelisks represent more than an occult symbol. They stand in cities with global influence that operate behind the curtain, if you will. a symbol of a dark global order. The City of London, Vatican City, and Washington, D.C. operate under no national authority. They are sovereign in their own domains.
Oh, that's why D.C. is in the District of Columbia. Is not part of a state.
Each with their own laws and governance operating independently. Now, these three distinct areas represent...
They're saying it's not even any part of America, technically. And that the Vatican City is not any part of Italy, and that the City of London is not really a part of Rome. Wow. So they've already started their globalist agenda, literally. It's always been there.
The financial, spiritual, and military controls of our world. And they are each crowned by an Egyptian-style obelisk, silent declarations of who they serve and who they are day by day behind the world stage, trying to welcome back. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that Washington, D.C. was originally named Rome.
What a lot of people also don't know, who study this Kemetic science, these black people who's into all this Egyptology and stuff, right? What they also don't know is these people would not be imitating Egyptian mythology if it was righteous and they are satanic. They wouldn't be. So for all of y'all who think the 42 laws of Ma'at and what the Egyptians had was righteous, or that it was what our ancestors practiced just because they were a dark nation, y'all are mistaken. Y'all know what they did to the children of Israel after they started to grow in number while they was in Egypt? The story of Moses? Right.
Maryland. The city is also built on 7 hills, just like Rome, the city atop 7 hills. We have Capitol Hill, Meridian Hill, Floral Hill, Hillcrest, Knox Hill, Forest Hills, and Hillbrook. Now, going back to Capitol Hill from above, we can see the satanic owl design into the city planning. And what do we call a group of owls? A parliament or Congress. Now, surprise, surprise, the symbolism doesn't stop there. We see sitting atop the Capitol building is the goddess Isis, otherwise known as Ishtar, otherwise known as Columbia, Liberty, Diana.
Didn't I just mention the District of Columbia? They said otherwise known as Columbia. Ishtar. Isn't that the goddess over Easter and Christmas in some cultures? Because remember, those goddesses all have different names in different civilizations and nations. Yeah, buddy.
The Queen of Heaven. And yes, that is the same.
The Queen of Heaven. None of those images are images that the Israelites and true Bible believers have. So when y'all dispute the Bible and knock the Bible because of the images that they put forth, like the one in the far right corner with the so-called Virgin Mary and baby Jesus that the Catholics put out, when y'all say, see, this is not real, and attribute that to the Bible don't give an image that look like that. Nor do the Israelites who be trying to talk to y'all about the Bible. So don't conflate the two, what the righteous brothers are saying with that, just because we speak of the same doctrine. They're perverting it, using all this other stuff, as y'all can see.
Same Queen of Heaven that some of you are praying to. The same Queen of Heaven that the book of Jeremiah says angers God. This is also the plan for Trump's new arch. The same pagan god sits atop and everyone praises it because it's just so common. We don't even take notice. We don't realize that it's blatant blasphemy and it's right in front of us.
It's so common that we don't even take notice. We don't realize that it's blatant blasphemy. It's right in front of us. It's the sad part.
This is ritualistic pagan god worship. This is the Luciferian doctrine. And as some of you know, this is the same goddess that is represented by the Statue of Liberty, by Lady Liberty, because it's the goddess Liberty. She even appears in political cartoons, guiding the West towards its, quote, spiritual destiny. She's literally everywhere and is a spirit of the
either Columbia Records, Columbia Films, or something like that. It's one of them film companies that use that image too, what they look like the Statue of Liberty.
The fallen. But it's okay because it's patriotic. Pagan gods, demonic spirits of the fallen are
Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Are literally molded into the fabric of our society. Makes a little more sense why "In God We Trust" is always capitalized, doesn't it? Because we capitalize the G to refer to the one true God, but to hide the fact that they aren't referring to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they just put it in all caps. The Great Seal of the United States pays.
Didn't she say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? They do not follow him. They do not. So that Christianity that they introduced to the slaves was not of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But notice that the true prophets of the Most High, the Israelites, they always speak of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Don't conflate the two, y'all.
Tribute to Apollo and Osiris as well, and the birth of this new enlightened age, a world in which the ancient pagan gods are worshipped. We see the number 13, which again, remember, represents the recovered body parts of Osiris, plague the United States seal. 13 stars above the eagle's head, 13 stripes on the flag, 13 arrows, 13 leaves in the olive branch. They tell us it represents the, of course, 13 colonies, but it all goes back to Osiris. We also see 13 steps on the pyramid with an all-seeing eye, which goes again directly back to ancient Egypt and the worship of Osiris. Likewise, Anuit Coeptus, which means he has favored our endeavors, is thought and taught to be referring to the one true God, when in fact it's actually referring to the pagan god Jupiter, who is actually Satan. It's actually referenced from a poem written by Virgil about a half-man, half-god hero who travels to the underworld and with help from the god Jupiter leads the surviving Trojans to Italy and establishes the new golden kingdom of Rome. Anuit Coeptus originally read as a prayer in the story, and it's translated to
Let's see. What does it say?
Jupiter Almighty.
Anuit Coeptus, words of the Great Seal of the United States of America, condensed by Charles Thompson, designer of the seal, in its final form, from Latin Jupiter omnipotens, audacibus, Anu Coeptus. All-powerful Jupiter, favor my daring undertakings. So they praying to Jupiter. Wow. All-powerful Jupiter, favor daring undertakings. What's so daring about your undertakings?
Favor my bold undertakings. For the Romans, Jupiter took the place of Yahweh, and his son Apollo replaced Jesus. Pagan god worship is literally molded into the fabric of our society. It's everywhere. And this is why it's so important to understand that when somebody, especially somebody on the world stage, gets up and says that they believe in God, they pray to God, they put their faith in God, that God might be a demonic spirit. That God might not be the one true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That God that they are referring to might literally be Satan. Now, the ancient Cumaean Sibyl, who is a prophetess of Apollo, is credited in Roman tradition with prophesying about a new world order that would arise from a time of chaos, and it would be led by a pagan savior. He would partner with gods and ancient heroes, and he would rule over a restored world under Saturn's reign, the dawn of a golden age. Virgil wrote about this. Now, this is the original writing. I won't even attempt to read it, but it translates to: the last age of Cumaean prophecy has come. The great sequence of the ages is born afresh. The reign of Saturn come again. Shortened.
It said, no, that's not what it said. It said the virgin and the reign of Saturn come again.
This is where we get Novus Ordo Seclorum, or the New Order of the Ages. Now, modern occult interpretations of this, including those who are in Freemasonry, such as Manly P. Hall, they attribute this to the emergence of the New World Order under the resurrected Osiris, otherwise known as Nimrod, otherwise known as Apollo or Apollyon from the book of Revelation, or Apollo from 2 Thessalonians. A counterfeit Christ, a pagan Messiah that will emerge from a time of chaos, out of chaos, to establish a Luciferian order, an occult engineered utopia that has been in process for centuries. Now, in 2 Thessalonians, as well as Revelation, we see Apollo being mentioned as the man of sin, the son of perdition, the man of destruction. 2 Thessalonians 2:3 reads, "Let no man deceive you by any means. For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." Now, son of perdition in the Greek is destruction, and that word used literally is Apollia, referencing Apollo. Revelation 9:11 tells us, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon," or Apollo. Not coincidentally, Osiris is
God Osiris, Lord of the underworld, gods of Egypt, myth and mystery. And you got brothers running around calling themselves Osiris.
Is known as the god of the underworld, or the bottomless pit. Now, this is just a side note that I quickly wanted to share, but there are certain topics that when I try to touch on them, the warfare is drastically increased. Either my health is affected or I have technical issues. Either my fatigue goes through the roof to a point where even recording a video is difficult. My mental clarity, my mental focus is just completely gone. Or I actually have, physical health issues where I can't record. Or like I said, I'll have technical issues to where my phone just completely malfunctions. It's literally, I just can't even use it. And a couple of months ago, I tried to record a video talking about Apollo being the spirit of the Antichrist. I successfully recorded that video, posted it, and they immediately removed it. So I went to record the video again, but censor myself so I can still get the information out. During the process of recording, which took 6 hours, my phone went completely, it became completely not even usable. I had to restart it multiple times. Then I was finally able to record. Then TikTok would shut down. Then there was just every issue along the way. I finally was able to record almost a 10-minute video on this topic. I went to edit it and there was no audio. This topic is one that the enemy does not want us to share. We are commanded to know the schemes of the enemy, to know his tactics, to know what he's doing, to read between the lines, to know the symbolism. And he does not want us to know the truth about the Antichrist. He doesn't want us to know who it is. And the Bible tells us that Apollo is the spirit of the Antichrist. Now, diving deeper into what's at the Capitol, and this part is actually more fascinating to me than most of what we've already talked about, is that beneath the dome of the Capitol building, so directly under the apotheosis of Washington, where he is depicted as ascending to godhood, lies what is known as the Capitol Crypt. This was, we were told, designed as the final resting place for George Washington, but he ended up being buried at Mount Vernon, leaving the crypt uninhabited through every single president, and even to this day, it lies empty. Now, this empty tomb really takes on occult significance. Could it be that it's waiting for the prophesied return of their pagan savior, the reborn Osiris or Apollo, rising from the mortal head wound that Revelation states he will receive, only to be resurrected and appear as if he achieved godhood in order to deceive the world, fulfilling an ancient blueprint for a new world in which gods walk among men. During George W. Bush's second inaugural address in 2005, he said this: "When our founders declared a new order of the ages, they were acting on an ancient hope that is meant to be fulfilled."
What? Remember when the original George Bush made that speech about the New World Order? That's the first time I had ever heard it. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about.
Take a look.
I have confidence because freedom is the permanent hope of mankind, the hunger in dark places, the longing of the soul. when our founders declared a new order of the ages, when soldiers died in wave upon wave for a union based on liberty, when citizens marched in peaceful outrage under the banner Freedom Now. They were acting on an ancient hope that is meant to be fulfilled.
Bush, along with other presidents and members of this elite puppetry, including the Rockefellers, are members of the Skull and Bones Club, otherwise known as Order 322 or the Brotherhood of Death. It is a satanic homosexual cult, and I won't elaborate on certain rituals that have to be performed in a coffin. You can research that yourself.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country.
Presidents are not elected. They are.
He spent that shit so quick. And y'all heard what she just starting to go into? She said presidents are not elected. Who was somebody who's been saying that for quite a while? Ain't gonna say no name.
Meticulously selected by hidden hands to preserve a chain of blood to continue an ancient agenda that is hidden from the public. From George Washington to present day, genealogical research reveals that nearly every U.S. president.
Remember I said not too long ago that all the presidents were related to King John, the Plantagenet. Presidential family tree. Surprising Ancestry Discovery by Maya Collins, September 14th, 2025, 2:11 p.m. Been saying it long before that.
President traces their lineage back to one man, the King of England, King John Lackland, the famous signer of the Magna Carta in 1215. This shared ancestry suggests that the highest office of puppetry, if you will, is
There go their little family tree. And I said also that he signed the Magna Carta, which was the document that established the British Parliament, and that his family members, the House of York and the House of Lancaster, established the 13 colonies. The first capital of the United States was New York. The York family are descendants of his. Another big city in the state of New York, Lancaster. That was the second big one after New York City. Those are two branches of the House of Plantagenet, which is his royal house, that were infighting for control of the throne.
Reserved for those carrying certain ancient hereditary markers. In ancient circles, this is no coincidence. Certain individuals are chosen to advance a hidden agenda, transforming this Western world into the...
Damn, I can't even speak highly of JFK no more. I thought he was a good guy back when I was asleep.
Almost complete New Atlantis.
You're related to Angelina Jolie. You're also cousins with Madonna.
That's true.
So, and I'm related to Madonna and Halle Berry.
Related, in fact, to Abraham Lincoln. Your family is that true?
Nancy Hanks was Abraham Lincoln's mother. So, yeah.
Barack Obama and Sarah Palin are cousins, back to one Mr. Smith of the 1600s.
Like related, for real?
Yes.
What's the connect?
We're second or third cousins. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
You are related to Fred Rogers.
Impossible. No, you're pulling our leg.
All right.
Let's look at that.
How far away is it?
Wait, look at it.
I know, yeah, I'm never.
Oprah tried to say that you two are somehow, some way related.
Yeah, she said she actually researched it and found it to be true.
And that's all.
Some kind of Presley with a Winfrey hooked up somewhere along the line in the South. You know how it goes.
Cousin Oprah.
That's right.
And that President Obama is related to all but one U.S. president.
Well, Dan, the youngster spent the summer tracing the family tree of our presidents. Her conclusion that all the presidents, with the exception of one, share the same grandfather.
that President Obama and all the presidents before him, with the exception of one, are related and descendants of a former king of England.
Now, unfortunately, so many in this world, and also
I think Harry Truman is the one exception that they're talking about.
in the church, not only shut down, but instantly reject anything that doesn't confirm what they already believe. They'll say things like, well, if that was true, it'd be on the news, or the government wouldn't do that, or my personal favorite, isn't that just a conspiracy theory? Satan is the god of this world. And so many don't understand, they don't actually think about what that means, the impact. So many, especially in the church, they think that Satan is just kind of sitting in hell, twiddling his thumbs, waiting for people to join him. He's not. He's here. He's active. He is on this earth. He is the God of this world. He has done nothing but infiltrate every area of this world, feeding us lies, feeding us deception, since we all could even think for ourselves. Part of this walk with Christ is exposing the schemes, the lies, the deception of the enemy. Right now, we need to be diligently every single day be seeking the Lord and his truth. Ask him for truth. Ask him for wisdom. Ask him to show you what is really going on in this world. Ask him to reveal things to you. Ask him for spiritual eyes to see. And guess what? He will give it to you. In the book of James, it tells us that Jesus is generous in giving wisdom. He wants us to be seeking the truth.
Now, that's my message to all of the people who want to dispute the scriptures but have not studied the scriptures. It ain't no way to find out the truth. It's too many versions of the Bible. It's been rewritten. They hid this book. They hid that book. You better get a relationship with Yahweh Shai. You better pray to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai and seek earnestly. If you go do the study and do the research and get off your laurels and you seek earnestly, then ye shall find. It ain't for everybody to find out, because some people don't want to know and ain't trying to find out for the right reason. You have to seek earnestly, right? So the only people who are here who really have that argument and that ain't no way to really know the real truth, it was too long ago and all that stuff, is people who haven't done the work or the research at all. They just use that excuse to not even find out, because ultimately they feel like they have all the answers inside of them and all the wisdom, and if they moral code or whatever they feel like right or wrong is, will suffice.
He wants us to be seeking wisdom. He doesn't want us to be deceived. This pagan, rebellious world is coming full circle. It's going back to that ancient rebellion in Genesis 6 that continued at the Tower of Babel with Nimrod, who defied God and sought to unite the world under his own name. Also,
yeah, that's right. I knew Nimrod was Babylonian. I was tripping earlier. A little buzzed. Apollyon, what's the word?
Known as Apollo in Greece, and Rome, Osiris in Egypt as the god of the underworld. Altogether, the bringer of enlightenment, who promised utopia through human strength and occult.
Is AI the new Tower of Babel? Can we get it right this time?
Knowledge is soon to rise again, stronger and more deceptive and destructive than ever, and ready to take the seat as the final world ruler, the ruler of the bottomless pit, Apollyon, in the book of Revelation. Y'all, the old gods are making their final debut through centuries of preparation, through global leaders, through digital thrones, through a united religion of self-worship. So what began with
the united religion of self-worship, all this knowledge of self stuff. True knowledge of self is knowledge of the Most High. True wisdom is the wisdom of the scriptures, the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High.
The fallen angels will culminate with the old gods ruling over a resurfaced and intricately designed modern day Babylon. And yet this agenda of pride and deception, this Tower of Babel 2.0, will soon come crashing down as the one true king, the Lord Jesus Christ, will return in glory and power to crush them beneath his feet, exposing these so-called gods as merely the created, who are nothing but frail and powerless before the Creator, who alone is worthy of worship.
The worst freaking state to live in.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. That concludes our segment of PAC Reacts. You saw it. You heard it. I need y'all to do me a favor, though, now. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, like, comment, and share. Hope y'all was able to learn something. Shalom. That means peace.